Good morning. Welcome to this free webinar. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be made available to you during viewing times later. Hopefully, everybody's coming on board here. Let me see what's happening so far. Okay, we'll wait a few minutes to kind of get started. I'm just kind of getting warmed up. Did a little bit of warm-up exercises earlier this morning, and then just kind of getting things situated. See. Okay, we got about 8 more minutes before I'm actually going to start, to kind of give everybody time to get on board on this free webinar today. It's a beautiful day outside. Hope that you're having a good day. I want to thank you for being a part of this. It's really honor and privilege to be able to share with you some information about the Reaction Management Partner Manual. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and get started a little bit early. And if anybody else joins in late, they'll have a chance to view this particular webinar because it is being recorded live. All right. So welcome to this live webinar. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be available to you for your viewing later. Please also be aware that your personal information is not being recorded, just what I am doing right now on this webinar. This is my first webinar, so if you are doing a webinar like this for the first time, please know that I'm in the same boat with you. Before we get started, I would like to thank our sponsor, Touch Management Systems, Inc., for sponsoring this free webinar for you to view. Touch Management Systems is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and you can visit their website later for any comments or to kind of view some short little video clips that we have done by volunteers. I am a volunteer as well. So if you have something to write down, let me give you their website for Touch Management Systems Incorporated. So that'd be tmsystems.us. T as in Tom, M as in Mary, in the plural form for systems, systems.us, tmsystems.us. Please feel free to go through there. There's a bunch of information. They certainly would love to hear from you regarding whether or not this has been something of benefit to you, and I hope it is. And that you will let them know that you want me to do some future webinars for you to view and kind of get your understanding and or opinion. I'm going to go to this window here and kind of shut that blind, because I think probably it's kind of, well, maybe I better not. I'm just going to kind of leave it like that because I'm in my swimwear right now, so I don't want you to see my swimwear. So we'll just kind of go to that right now. So if you'll note that if you have any questions at all that you may think about during this webinar, feel free to pose your questions and be able to have those ready for me to respond to. However, for brevity's sake, please understand that I may not be able to respond to your questions after the webinar closes. Okay, so let me get started with. So the Reaction Management Partner is not a book, okay? It's actually something that is intended to actually be, as it says, a manual. And this manual is available on Amazon Books. It's either available as a written hard copy, or you can get the Kindle version of it. I always recommend that you have the hard copy because in it you have the ability to record your progress, whereas a Kindle is more on your computer, and I'm not too savvy as far as how you would be able to negotiate any questions that you might have with respect to, or recording that you might have of your progress as you go along. So the purpose of the manual, I hope, for everyone is to initiate a spark of enthusiasm for you to go further in developing your own skills in reaction time and focus. So the book is primarily designed to, or excuse me, the manual is primarily designed to give you just a basic insight into what the possibilities are for you to develop this reaction speed into a higher level by 200 to 300%. So in many cases, people think, well, I can just read this thing and I'm all good. I know the techniques and therefore it's all good. But that's not exactly how it works. In my opinion, just learning the techniques and having them down pat is not going to be as valuable as developing the muscle memory that one could have by utilizing the techniques into a flowing pattern. So if, like in one of the techniques, which is very simple, just to give you an idea, you hit the arm here, and then you can use your palm and go this way, right? Well, if I learn that, that's learning the techniques. I have it down in my memory. I get that down pat, or I can hit another one, come in here and hit there. Okay, that's fine. But if I just do that and just use the techniques, that's not going to be as efficient as you have something that's more flowing. Okay, so what I'm trying to present in this book is just a basic understanding that it's not just technique, but learning how to gain rhythm and focus. Okay, so I start with that introduction. But first of all, let me go through the 8 sections. The introduction, and then secondly is about safety. As you see, I'm wearing gloves. Okay, I usually don't practice with gloves, but just for this particular presentation, I'm showing you that it's important for you, particularly as a beginner, if you have a piece of equipment that's wood, you're going to hit this thing or touch it at a certain rate of speed. And when that happens, you may injure your hand. So it's very important that you develop a sense of awareness that safety comes first, and using and developing a means for following all of the basic patterns, again, basic patterns in the manual. Okay, so the other thing about safety that I want to point out, I want you to make sure that if you have health conditions, that you have talked to your primary care physician or your specialist to make sure that they give you the okay for you to engage in this type of activity. Okay, whether you're a young person, a middle-aged adult, or a senior citizen like myself, you want to get that approval from your doctor, because in your enthusiasm, as you learn these things, it may not be appropriate for you to gain this knowledge and then you start working this out and then you develop some type of medical condition because of your activity in this. So please understand that myself in this webinar and the manual, the reaction management partner, that would be our caveat or our means of saying that, you're doing this particular process at your own risk. So do diligence, make sure that you talk to your physician, specialist, and get their approval before you go anywhere near this thing, because this thing is heavy. These arms are made out of ash. I make my own equipment. If you are interested in me teaching you how to make your own equipment, you may be able to save yourself anywhere from $500 to $1,000 in buying something that won't be as half as strong as this. Okay, I'm not saying that there's bad or good equipment out there. I'm just saying I know how this is made, and I know who made it, and I know the flaws in it, and I know its strength. But this is very, very powerful, and you're not going to have any problems with working on it, and it's virtually indestructible. So if you are interested in me teaching you how to make one of these, you can actually make one, or have someone help you for under $200. Okay, now I put some extra little things in here just because I wanted it to swivel. So I had someone make a metal base, cylindrical base, and I purchased a 500-pound capacity Lazy Susan inside that, so this thing kind of swivels around. So it gives me a better gauge for how much force and torque I need to place. Because let's remember, in this process, we're going to talk here in a minute about reflex versus reaction. Okay, I'm in control of how this thing moves, and this represents, you know, basically another human being. But for practical purposes, this is me hitting not another human being and the practice and causing them to be injured. But the beauty of this is that you can practice at home with a wooden dummy and not be hurting another person. And that's one of the things that I love about this process. And I'm able to do this every day. I love the sound it makes. I think there's much to that in terms of just getting a response from that particular point that I am either touching, as you will, or hitting. Now, again, warming up, making sure your doctor approves, your specialist approves of you engaging in this type of activity is very, very important. And make sure that you have safety protections on your hands, because you will, in your process, might accidentally decide that you want to engage in a strike to a point on the basic patterns and actually injure your hand, and then you'll be out of capability of practicing for a period of time. So let's talk about the next section. Reflex versus reaction. I want you to think about reflex like if, when I was a little kid, my mom told me not to touch the hot iron. That she was, as they would say in Spanish, she was planchando la ropa. Entonces, I didn't listen to her, so I went and put my hand on the hot iron, and immediately my nervous system responded. So that was a reflex reaction. Okay, I didn't cognitively think in terms of me being in control in my cognition per se, but my autonomic nervous system reacted for me. Okay, now in times, you know, when people are in high distress or trauma, you know, they are doing different things and they feel no pain. Well, in this case, I felt pain when I touched that hot iron, and I immediately, my reflex pulled back. What we're doing here is not reflex. I'm actually in control. So the definition that I like to use for reaction is I'm reacting to something that I'm making the decision to react on. And this wooden dummy is representative of that which is coming towards me and causing me to decide that I want to react for my own safety's sake. So now if I don't react, and this person, if you will, if it was a real person in a real life threatening situation, were to hit me in the face, okay, then my autonomic nervous system, oh, that hurts, I'm going to move away. That could be a reflex piece. But I'm going to take the initiative and react, decide that when that particular incoming thing, I can react to that, hit it at the level of energy or pounds per square inch that I choose. So I'm in control. So remember, in this program, I want you to understand that this is a supportive program for whatever type of training you may have already experienced, or whether you have had no training whatsoever. So a person off the street can literally take this manual, and if they apply it daily and correctly, they will develop a muscle memory that will give them that ability to react without thinking about it. It'll be automatic. Okay. So the beauty of it also is that you can engage this thing on a daily basis in different modalities. So one day you might say, well, I'd like to practice this with my eyes closed. Okay. This has been very beneficial to individuals who have some visual impairments. I'm working individually with several people that have some type of physical impairment that has to do with their vision. So the focus piece that we're going to get to in a minute has nothing to do with whether or not I can see this thing, but is in terms of my focus and my training and my muscle memory with respect to the reaction that I want to project onto this wooden dummy. I can hit it soft. I can push it soft. I can hit it slow. I can take and decide which direction I want to approach it in, and it all can be automatic. You are in control. And I'm hoping that you will take and understand the difference that this particular supportive training will give you, and that you can see how perhaps you might want to get one of these on your own commercially. You can buy these. Let me just say something real briefly with respect to building one. You can go down to a Home Depot or a Lowe's or somewhere like a lumber company and buy just a round wooden post and have a friend or yourself, if you're capable, and drill a hole perpendicularly into that, and have that at about if you have a center line right here in the middle, okay, 15 degrees this way and or 15 degrees that way, a total of 30 degrees in between here at the height that you would want it to, so that you work at this, and then one on the center line. And you can actually take and just get whatever size of round dowel that you want and glue it in there. It doesn't have to move. It doesn't have to make noise. Dig a hole in the ground and plant this thing in there. And now you have something to at least initially work on. So you don't have to spend $200. You can go down. I found one time someone needed one and they didn't have any money, and I happened to run across an old had cracks in it piece of log, and I gave that to that individual. They were able to chisel out, drill, whatever they did, and they planted it in their backyard, and they have something to work on. So be creative. That's what I always suggest. Allow yourself the opportunity to do something that's out of the ordinary. You don't have to be. It doesn't have to be very expensive. The other part of this thing is in the next section is with respect to warm-ups and record keeping. It's very important. I kind of just warm up just enough so that my body temperature is elevated, so that my joints and my body is able to move, my neck muscles, because all of your entire body, when if you think of a professional boxer or anyone that has any experience in boxing, you have the ability to use your entire body as you execute these things in a real life situation. So there's some limitations on this. There's a base here, and there's only approximately 65 to 70 pounds of weight in this particular piece of material. So whatever it is that you decide to do with the apparatus, that you will have to understand that there's limitations to the particular equipment. And that'll also give you some training into hitting softer, okay? I'm finishing up a piece for an anti-bullying program that's talks about hitting softer, okay? So warm-ups are important to make sure that you have that ability as you're getting ready to engage this thing, because this piece of equipment is going to respond in the same force that you are giving to it. So hit as hard as you want to be hit. Okay, you may end up with some black and blue marks on your arms if you decide that you really are going to ramp this thing up really good, and boom. Next thing you know, when you wake up, somebody's going to say, hey, what's all that purple and black marks all over your arms and hands, palms of your hands? You may accidentally hit this thing wrong and hit yourself right on the funny bone. And so you want to be very careful that you definitely want to start off with a good warm-up. And then the other piece that's in this section is with regard to record keeping. Now, mind you, you're not going to get these 200 to 300% reaction speeds up in the initial stages. You remember when you started learning how to drive a car for the first time? You had to think all the way through all the different things. I've got to put the key in the ignition. Oh, I got to turn the key to start the car or the vehicle, truck, whatever. Let's see, I put it in drive or in reverse. You had to kind of think, I got to put the brake on, or I got to press the gas. How much do I press the gas? Do I lurch it out? And let's not even talk about working a standard, shift, 3-speed, 4-speed, 5, 6-speed gear shift, okay? It takes time. It takes time for you to develop, and you have to be patient. You have to take your time, make sure you go through all the steps correctly, and just have fun with this, okay? So record keeping is going to be very important for you to make sure that you have the date, the time, and the actual hit patterns that you are working on. And don't worry about in the first few times to record the speed of it, because your speed would probably be slower than you normally would react anyway. So again, let me go touch back on this thing. So if you had no experience, this program, learning this, is probably the fastest way for you to learn a self-defense program. That's my opinion. If you are experienced and you are in a program already and you're an experienced martial artist, you've taken self-defense, you're ex-military, you're current military, you're law enforcement, okay, this is not designed to take away any of that. It's only intended, that's my intention, is for you to develop a faster reaction speed, okay? So that you can be able to engage those wonderful techniques that you use and your daily work a lot faster. Now, mind you, wouldn't that improve your safety if you can use those techniques that you've already learned, coupled with this as your supplemental or support system, and have that reaction speed increase by 200 to 300%. It's my opinion that would be a benefit to you. I may be wrong, but I think you can see that having an automatic muscle memory for you to just engage and then incorporate that into your existing training may be a strong benefit for you. The other piece too, once you get into developing this automatic system where you are doing this muscle memory piece, you can actually measure your speed. What I recommend is you can go down to your local convenience store and buy these very inexpensive pedometers that have the little clip on, and you can clip it onto your exercise shirt and be able to gauge or measure the reaction speed of particularly that arm. Now, you would take a factor of 2, because the way I've designed this system is that both arms are moving pretty much in close proximity to what the other one is doing. So you multiply times a factor of 2, and then if your pedometer is measured in minutes, obviously you would divide by 60 to get your reaction speed down to what you're reacting per second. So if you go back to the tmsystems.us, you will see a little video clip that I'm involved in that was approximately 1997. And I'm doing a little demonstration of the RMP. And back then, not now, I was hitting points at a rate of between 9 to 15 points per second. So young people can do that. Me, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm doing maybe 3, to even top 6. But I enjoy doing this on a daily basis. It's very comforting and it's very satisfying to hear that sound, to go through the motions and be able to engage with this thing on a daily basis, and then also develop my breathing technique. So I'm relaxed. In my younger days, I could do this thing nonstop for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and not develop a sweat because I was able to properly breathe. And these different points were so automatic that I wasn't even thinking about the points. I was, my mind was thinking about Hawaii trip that we were going to go on, or something like that. So it's a real wonderful, so that you can do these things and have a record of your progression. Okay, the next section is about shadow hitting. Now, shadow hitting is akin to what professional boxers or AAU boxers call shadow boxing. Okay, so I call it shadow hitting because you are just actually reacting to something that's a pattern. So you're actually shadow hitting that pattern. So pattern number 1, that is a shadow hit because I'm focused on the fact that I'm hitting this arm and then I'm either striking there or there. Now, again, shadow hitting could be valuable for you if you are not at home where your RMP, reaction manager partner, is situated. You may be away on a business trip. You may be at work on your lunch break or on your 15 morning or afternoon break. And you need to kind of get your thoughts together and build up that muscle memory, and you can use shadow hitting. So shadow hitting is a complement to this actual process. Let's talk about your hands and the hit points. In the manual, it talks about, it gives certain codes or symbols to represent how you are hitting the patterns. And there's a description, there's a legend for what those letters represent. So P stands for the palm. So for me, palm means that I'm using this portion of the hand to engage this wooden dummy. So that means, like, if a person's coming in, I can engage that by using my palm to push them away. Okay. My other hand that is free is also ready and assisting, so I'm able to use my palm to push away. And many times there's evidence that a person that was attacked with no knowledge of any self-defense automatically use their palms to try to move the attacker away. Okay, so that's a very instinctive piece, using your palm. Okay, so the patterns are able to for you to elicit different means of addressing by hitting and or touching or pushing using your palm. Okay. Your forearm. That's this part of your arm. Okay. I know we're supposed to be talking about hands, but this is attached to the hand, right? So, okay. Or it may be that I'm doing this and then coming back, what I call many people understand as a back fist. So I'm taking the knuckles of my hand, the back of them, and I'm striking this piece with the back of my knuckles. Okay, so that would be a back fist. Back fist, palm, palm. Okay, that same pattern is mirrored on the opposite side. Palm, 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 back fist. Okay, learning the technique is not what this program is about. It's incorporating the techniques so that you can move to the next section of the manual, and that's talking about rhythm. You want to have a rhythm, rhythmic motion, so it flows. That is the purpose of this manual. So that you get to the point that if you are engaged in a situation, you're not just using a technique when the attacker approaches you in a defensive fashion, but you are addressing the attacker in an offensive manner. So you're actually engaging the person, individual, before they have an opportunity to think about trying to engage with you. Now, let me just say this. In a situation, in a real life situation, if at all possible, you want to leave the area, save your family, take them away, so you're not engaging in a confrontation. Oh, I've learned the reaction management partner, and I know how to react at a rate of 200%, and I'm ready for anything. Come on, bring it all on. No, I always recommend that you not engage in a situation. It's better to walk away, okay, and not engage than take a chance and risking your own life or the lives of those around you, your friends, family members. Do something that is more preservative of life. But if you have to do it, you know that you are capable of doing it. And a word I'd like to use, you may get the drop on them instead of them getting the drop on you, because they don't know that you can react that fast to whatever it is that they try to throw at you. So developing rhythm is very important. And that brings us to our next section. It seems like we only have about 5 more minutes left, but that is about focus. Okay, focus, again, as I kind of touched on earlier, is not about what you see, but is what about you, what you know, and what your focus is. In my younger days, I used to think about, and I did a lot of breaking techniques, and I trained as a black belt and was in full contact karate as a black belt. And but my training for being able to focus was that I'm actually not focusing just at the surface, but my focus is beyond the surface. And as with any kind of breaking technique, you're not looking just to hit the surface, but you're actually looking towards going past that surface, okay? And again, so that's a focus that's in your mind. Your mind is focused hitting past that thing instead of hitting to there, okay? But again, this is only under, you have control, okay? You have control of what you want to do. And from a legal standpoint, remember that there are legal implications for self-defense, whether it's real self-defense or like this quasi self-defense. You cannot overreact to something that's very small. So if a person is going to slap you on the face, legally, you cannot claim self-defense because they're trying to slap you. And so, you know, you paralyze them for life, you know, by hitting their jugular vein. That's not self-defense. So make sure you understand that there are legal issues that are involved when you are engaged. And that's why I say it's better to walk away, get away, You have a basis for doing that. You don't want any trouble. But if it came down to a legal issue, you can argue that you felt that your life was threatened, the life, safety, and lives of your friends that were with you, and that may get you off the hook legally. I'm not saying that it will, but that may. It's just very complicated. It depends on the situation, but be careful about that. So your focus should be on safety first, getting your family away, getting yourself away. But if you can't, then your focus in your mind tells you that you know the level that you have to engage this to stop the threat. And when it comes to that point, you are in control of your behavior. You cannot control your assailant's behavior, but you can control your behavior. So the last part is with respect to, we have 2 more minutes left, with respect to reaction speed. Again, now that you've developed this muscle memory, now you can really focus on your reaction speed. So that means you are in control and you can cause yourself to move faster. So just as you are able to cause yourself to move faster, you're also able to move slower. You're able to be more deliberate. Particularly if you have multiple attackers, you may want to move faster. You train to move faster. You know that you can move faster by 200 to 300%, and you have that capability. So you know that that reaction speed is going to be there because you trained. You have the measurement tool that I mentioned that you can get a pedometer put on your sleeve, and you can use those factorizations to determine how many points you can hit per second. And then as you advance in your training, you can learn what these points represent, their lethality with respect to pressure placed on those points, the timing on those points, the pressure, timing, and reaction speed. Those, in my opinion, are important. Some people in certain disciplines may disagree with that. You know, it just depends on where your background is. So in conclusion of this manual, I hope that you will go to Amazon Books and purchase the manual that I have, and that you will utilize it as a springboard. You won't just read it as a book and say, okay, I know all the techniques. These don't make one bit of sense. It's not going to help me, and just put it on your shelf. Realize that this manual will give you an opportunity to perhaps make your own equipment, buy your own equipment, and then cause you to engage in this type of training so that it'll be supportive in whatever work you do. I'm hoping to continue on with my work with individuals and hoping to continue my work with some law enforcement personnel that want to develop their reaction speed, and to be able to be more safety conscious about what they do with respect to saving others. Please let us know whether you would like to be interested in a webinar that addresses building your own equipment for under $200, or any other topic related to the RMP. I hope that you will contact Touch Management Systems and let them know whether this time that we've had this together this morning is an appropriate time, because many of you, you're different time zones, you're working today, and taking a 30-minute break sometimes is not an appropriate thing for you to do during your workday. So please let us know what other time schedules that you might have open for us to provide some more free webinars regarding the RMP. Okay, and please let us know whether or not this has been helpful. Again, if you're new to self-defense, learning how to do this will develop a sense of confidence about what you're capable of doing. It'll also protect other people from that ability that you have, so you're not hurting another person. You're able to train at your own leisure. You're not having to go to a gym. Not that that's bad, but the only cost would be your manual and whatever equipment level that you want to be involved with, whether it be something as sophisticated as ash arms, a swivel piece that is rather expensive, whatever it is, just as long as you have something to train on and you're doing it consistently so you can develop a faster reaction. Thank you again for allowing me to present to you. I hope that this will be not the last time that I have an opportunity to be before you, but that you will give me the opportunity to share a little bit more about what we're doing. The RMP, the Reaction Management Partner, is actually part of 4 systems of the HIT therapy model that I wrote as a mental health therapist. The BMS, which is behavior management, BMP, behavior management partner, the AMP, the anger management partner, and the SMP, stress management partner. This is the RMP. All of them kind of interconnected. They're all applicable in different situations. And so I hope that you will just take this one, the RMP, and use it to your advantage. Thank you so much and have a blessed rest of the day. Please send me any questions that you might have.